Thank you for listening to the Sega Stuff podcast. My name is Bryan Trusty. I'll be your host. I'm recording from my basement, so hopefully the sound quality is good enough. This is my first episode, so I actually previously recorded another episode, but there were some issues, so I kind of had to scrap it. So I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. The reason I am doing this podcast is because I love Sega so much. I play all video games, but Sega's always been my favorite for nostalgic reasons, because when I was a kid, all my friends had Super Nintendos, and I just thought they were so awesome because I had an NES, and it wasn't even mine, it was my stepdad's. So, I couldn't even really play it as much as I wanted to, but he had some cool games for it. But my friends had Super Nintendos. All my friends pretty much had Super Nintendos, and they had Super Mario World on it, and it just blew my mind, the graphics and the sound and stuff that was going on at the time. And I just, I bugged my mom about it, and she ended up renting me a Sega Genesis, because you could rent Sega Genesis and stuff back then, and she rented me that. She rented me a Quackshot, starring Donald Duck, which was a really fun game, and Outrun. So that's the first time I played those two games. I played Sega Genesis a little bit, like at a pizza restaurant, a local pizza restaurant. They had Sega Genesis there. But I didn't know that much about it. I was more of a Nintendo kind of a person before I was really deep into it. But after she rented me that, later on, probably like a year later, probably I think maybe less, she purchased a Sega Genesis Model 2 for me. And it came with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I loved it. And not only did I become a huge Sega fan, I also became a huge Sonic fan at that time. And I've never stopped loving Sega since. I bought the Sega Saturn, or asked my dad for the Sega Saturn for Christmas, rather. I was too young. I didn't have a job. And also, I purchased a Sega Dreamcast because of Sonic Adventure, and I just kept loving Sega. I had a 32X, the Sega CD, and I had a Game Gear. I just went Sega all the time, even though that wasn't always the best choice when you're purchasing a game, but I just always went with Sega. And I still do buy Sega games for newer generation consoles. Some of my favorite Sega games are Sonic, the whole Sonic series, excluding maybe a couple, like Sonic Labyrinth for the Sega Game Gear. And also, my favorite game of all time is Shenmue for the Sega Dreamcast. I love that game. I beat it, and then I was really upset to hear that it wasn't going to come to the Dreamcast in the United States. So I was really upset about that, but when I got an Xbox, I got it for the Xbox, and I beat it that way, and that was really cool. And hopefully they make a Shenmue 3. I'm really hoping they do. I've read an interview recently with Yu Suzuki, and he said that he's interested in making a Shenmue 3. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to, but hopefully Sega backs him, gives him the money, and just lets him do it, because he needs to just end it, because I just really need to find Landy and get revenge for him murdering my father. Because, I'm really sucked into that game, obviously. talking about it like it's me. So, those are a couple of my favorite Sega games. I played a lot of Sega games, but I just love all Sega. I love Sega Genesis so much. There was a lot of good Sega games on that. And I guess let's talk about some Sega game news. Sega has recently said that House of the Dead Overkill, is coming to the PlayStation 3. It says it's an extended cut, so that's pretty cool. You have to have the PlayStation Move because it uses the motion control as the gun. But if I had a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation Move, I would definitely buy this game. I had it for the Nintendo Wii, and I loved it. It was it was kind of like a B movie, so it was really funny. It had the F word in it, every other word, so it was pretty good. I liked it like that. I thought it was pretty funny. It was a prequel to the original House of the Dead, and which made sense because it had this weird filmy, grainy, bad quality to it on purpose, which was really neat. It was developed by Headstrong Games and obviously published by Sega. Like I said, it came out on the Wii at first. It came out on the Wii, I think, in February of 2009. And I don't. I guess it's supposed to come out in October for the PlayStation 3 of 2011. So hopefully the graphics are a lot better. It says that they're HD quality. I've always liked the House of the Dead series. I like the campiness and the B-moviness of it. I always thought it was funny. Like, I don't know if it was intentional for the first game, but it just worked. The voice acting was really bad, and they just kind of kept it like that. Even the voice acting now is a little intentionally bad, even though the voice actors they got were fairly decent actors. They just they try to play it B-movie-ish, and it keeps it funny, and I like it. It goes along with the old zombie movie genre thing, so it works really good. Good job on that, Sega. I can't wait to see that on PS3. It was one of the most pirated games on the Wii, unfortunately. But I bought it, and I loved it. Also, in Sega news, Shinobi is making a return in 3D because he's going to be on the 3DS. Sega announced that on May 26, 2011, and I'm really excited about it. It was developed by Kryptonite Games, and he looks like the Shinobi from the PlayStation 2 version, which is pretty cool. I mean, I liked that game. It was a little bland. You know, it was just all the levels looked exactly the same, and it wasn't that easy. It wasn't easy enough because I just found myself becoming frustrated with jumping off the walls, running on the walls, and I'd fall down into a pit. And even though, like, for some reason in the game, I remember I could see the bottom of the pit, but he would just fall through and it would be like an eternal pit. I don't know why these cities were built in the sky in post-apocalyptic Japan, but they were in the Shinobi game for the PlayStation 2. But I bought the game recently, actually, Shinobi for the PlayStation 2, and it was like $3 at a local video game movie store. So it was definitely worth $3 to me, having it in my Sega collection, continuously growing Sega collection that I hope to buy a lot of games for. But I'm looking at the screenshots here for Shinobi for the Nintendo 3DS, and it looks really neat. The graphics are really smooth, but the colors are kind of bland and boring. But hopefully it gets better. But even if not, the gameplay could definitely make up for that. It's a side-scrolling game, it looks like. So it's fully polygonal 3D graphics, but the camera just follows the profile of you as you move along. So it is side-scrolling. So I guess hopefully it's like the old Genesis Shinobis. The best Shinobis to me were on the Sega Genesis, and yeah, it just looks kind of like a mashup of the ninja from Shinobi PlayStation 2 and the gameplay from the Sega Genesis Shinobi. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully the shurikens look really cool flying at you in 3D, and I'm really hoping to check it out. I need to get a Nintendo 3DS. I don't have one yet, but I did play one. I played one at a local big box store, and it was really cool. The 3D was kind of weird. It kind of messed with my eyes a little bit, but I liked it. I was impressed by it, how you could do 3D. And they say only one person can look at it, but I actually got like right behind my girlfriend while she was playing it, and I was getting the 3D effect too, but I think like you'd have to be like almost eye to eye. So not a game system that you're like showing your buddies off the games unless you turn the 3D off. But a very cool system. Shinobi for the 3DS. Hopefully that's really cool. I think I've got high expectations for it because it's a side-scrolling Shinobi, and it's on a handheld console rather that has really good graphics, and the graphics look equal to that of the Wii, or I guess I could say the GameCube, because basically the Wii is a GameCube with motion controls, but they're doing a really good job on a lot of the new upcoming games on it, and they did a great job on House of the Dead Overkill. Go back to that for a second because that was an awesome game. I had the Wii Zapper, and a couple of my buddies would come over, and we'd like we'd play 2-player, which is the only way to play. And on that game, you could kind of split screen it a little bit. So if you started pointing away, it would split screen a little bit. You could look farther than you could on any of the other House of the Deads, which was really cool. So check out House of the Dead Overkill on the Wii. If you have a PlayStation Move, wait for it to come out on that because it's gonna have really cool HD graphics. Hopefully, they up the poly count on the characters since it was made for an older system. I'd like to see some new character models and stuff in there, but even if not, it's still a great game. Yeah, check it out. House of the Dead Overkill. So yeah, that, and check out the Shinobi games for the Sega Genesis if you've never played them. They are awesome. If you have a way to play them, I think they might have some of them on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So yeah, and there's other ways you can get it. I think they might have virtual console downloads, and you could probably download it through Steam and stuff on your PC. So I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to play it. Go check that out for sure. All right, well, I'm going to take a little break. Just enjoy this little Sega tune. Okay, and we are back. So, I guess now it's time to talk about a retro Sega game. Today's retro Sega game is Sonic Spinball. I used to play it a lot when I was young because, as I said before, I'm a huge Sonic fan. And it's pinball, it's Sonic, and it's really cool. So, the music is okay. The controls are a little floaty and kind of late reacting, but I mean it's an older game. It's for the Sega Genesis, so it's not bad for the time. It was released in 1993 for the Sega Genesis. It was also later ported to the Game Gear and the Sega Master System in 1995. And I've played the Sega Game Gear version, and it's pretty good too. It's a pretty good port. It was developed by Poly Games and Sega Technical Institute, as well as Sega Interactive. They did the Sega Interactive did the Game Gear and Sega Master System conversions, and Poly Games and Sega Technical Institute did the Genesis programming. So, published by Sega, it's about Dr. Robotnik and well, of course, it's about Dr. Robotnik. It's a Sonic game. You're basically just trying to. I'm not going to go into the story. You're just trying to defeat Dr. Robotnik again, but this time you're doing it through like sewers, and you're bouncing off walls and stuff like that. And it's a little slower than a regular pinball game. You're kind of floaty, like I said before. You're kind of floating around. I think it's to make it a little easier as you're falling down towards. You don't want to get sucked into the pit of doom. And if you actually stand on the bottom of on the first level, if you stand on the bottom of the screen, right underneath the flippers, a giant, robotic dragon tries to come out of the sewer water and eat you. So right away, when I first started playing the game as a kid, I thought it was really cool. And they left a lot of classic stuff in there. You still collect rings. You still release flickies if you blow up badniks. So it's pretty classic. It's awesome. And it's got a lot of levels. I've never beaten the game, but my friend, one of my friends has beaten the game, and it was pretty cool. I was there. You actually have to get the Chaos Emeralds in this game to continue on. It's not like the other Sonic games where it's an option and you just become Super Sonic when you get the Chaos Emeralds. Chaos Emeralds are you have to get them in this game. So, like I said, it's pretty tough. It's got a cool scoring system at the top, just like classic pinball machines do. And when you die, Dr. Robotnik comes up on there and laughs at you. And it makes you really mad, and hopefully makes you want to try again, because it's a pretty good game. It's worth checking out if you're a huge Sonic fan, and especially if you're a huge Sega fan. And if you're a little bit of a pinball fan even, it's just a good game. It's definitely different than your standard pinball because your ball is a living character. Your Sonic is the ball in the game. So you can bounce off the flippers, you can go through warp tunnels, and like on the first level, for instance, you have to drain this giant reservoir of sewage and get the Chaos Emerald out. And the way you do that is you have to unlock the two sides of the reservoir, and it'll drain all the liquid out, and a plunger comes out and lets all the sewage out, and you can jump in and get the Chaos Emerald. So there's a little bit of puzzle elements in it like that. You have to figure out things like that. They're real easy. Oh, hold on a second. Anyway, yeah, there's a little bit of puzzle elements in it. They're easy puzzles. It's just like get this on the left, get this on the right, unlock this on the top, and you've got the Chaos Emerald. But other than that, the rest of the game is really tough. I think it's one of the hardest Sonic games. I've beaten every other Sonic game, all the platforming Sonic games I've beaten that I've owned or played. And this is just not one that I am able to do. Sonic Spinball is tough, but it's a fun game. It's got cool graphics, kind of dark and gritty. It's got that Sega Genesis radical attitude, Mountain Dew, Doritos, awesome kind of 90s feeling. So if you're looking for that, go back and play that game. That's an awesome game. Like I said, it's hard. Let me know what you think about it if you've played it, and if you haven't, go check it out if you're a huge Sega Sonic fan. So that's the Sonic Spinball. That's a cool game. Go check that out. Let's see. I got some other recommendations because I've been purchasing some more Sega games lately, and like I said, Shinobi for the PlayStation 2 is one you should probably check out. It's real cheap. Mad World, another one that's really cheap for the Nintendo Wii, and it was developed by Platinum Games, and it's a really gory game, and it's really cool. Also, Toe Jam and Earl 2 I bought recently on the Sega Genesis because I like platforming, and it's like a two-player co-op platforming, and Toe Jam and Earl's always been good. The first one was good. The second one's a lot different, but still good. I also purchased Virtual Fighter 4 on the PlayStation 2. Awesome, one of the best fighting games ever made, I think. It's also the Evolution version, which is still like $5 on the PlayStation 2. And if you haven't bought that game or you've never played that game, get it if you like fighting games. It's a great one. That about does it for the show. And you can check me out on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me by searching for Bryan Trusty. That's the name of my channel. And I have a show on there as well called Sega Stuff where I do hardware reviews, and I'll be having video game reviews up soon. Also, check out the Sideburns Review, another podcast that I do with my co-host Chris Lehman. We talk about retro video games and obscure movies and movies. But check us out. We're also on YouTube. You can check us out on the Sideburns Review channel. So youtube.com. Search for the Sideburns Review. That's the easiest way to find us. We also have a Facebook. You can go search for my Facebook, Bryan Trusty, and I have a Sega Stuff fan page. Also, the Sideburns Review has a fan page. Check us out. Leave us comments. Sega Stuff Podcast. I'm out.